I'm Marnie, and I've been obsessed with documentaries.
And I'm Chrissy. I haven't, but I'm giving it a go.
We watch so you don't have to. Or maybe you do, and just want a completely fact-free synopsis.
Expect spoilers and tangents.
Because we're not here to educate.
We trade accuracy for entertainment every time.
This is the Gist Project.
Well, in lieu of our episode today, I want you to tell us about your worst job.
So, the show is Telemarketers, and I do have to tell you, I was once a telemarketer for approximately 36 hours. And I was going to use that as my worst job.
Yeah.
But because I have such limited memory, and I think it's because I blocked it out,
Yeah.
I can't use it.
Okay.
So my second worst job is the fact that I worked for my dad's dental office.
Oh.
I had two roles.
Yeah.
Number one, chief filing officer. CFO. I'd like to give that myself the title. But everybody just stared at me with contempt and dropped the files lazily so that I could do it. I hated it. The second part to my job was to mow the freshly landscaped and irrigated landscape, which was fraught with bumps, and I had to do it with a non-self-propelled push mower.
Yeah.
So I was out there. It was so bad, and I was so frustrated because it was also just like around curbs and bits, and it was very limited runway. So you had to be very creative with this shitty old mower.
Yeah.
And I was like a 16-year-old girl, and there's nothing against girls doing manual labor, but it wasn't my bailiwick. Nobody taught me how to run a mower. So I would just show up, run this thing, and stink and fail the whole time. And it would fail out and flood because it was wet to the point where I sat there sweating one day, waiting for this thing to unflood, where a guy named Jimmy, who was in our community, went to Dairy Queen to get me a Mr. Freeze and was like, "It looks like this really sucks, Marty.
Yeah.
Here you go." And he sat with me.
Oh, what nice.
That was like the highlight of my summer.
Yeah.
But I have to say, and as much as I love my dad, and like it was a great opportunity, because essentially what I did was I worked for him, made zero money, because he then put that money away for school. Yeah. So, I mean, it's first world problems. But when you're 16, angry, and you'd rather be smoking, drinking, and looking cool,
tough.
I did not like getting smirks from Margaret behind the counter, who left me a pile of files just because it's my job.
Well, I can mirror your job.
Okay, tell me.
My mom managed an orthopedic clinic.
Yes.
And I also was CFO. Yes.
We had the same worst job?
But I didn't think of it like that because I was really good at the alphabet.
Of course you saw the silver lining.
So, and also at Northern Orthopedics, did you have this long plastic thing? And it had A, B, C, D. It was the entire alphabet. And you would like raise one of, like if you had a D, you'd raise a D, throw it in the slot.
Oh.
So you would so I'm alphabetizing individual papers that need to then find their homes in the files.
Oh.
And we're also dealing with big, giant x-rays when they were printed in film.
Yes, of course.
So I spent a lot of filing time at Northern Ortho, and I didn't mind it.
I love how I hated it.
Yeah.
Hated it, and you loved it.
Yeah.
I think you would have also made a brilliant librarian.
MacArthur or McAllister, which is first? I mean, yes, I would be a librarian too. Put that on the list of jobs I'd like to do.
Yeah. Well, I think that we could also come up with like, what is next phase for us? Like maybe librarian, audio recorder. Well, we still have our opportunity to make Lake O'Marion come alive.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we're gonna shoot for the stars.
Yep.
The librarian isn't a bad gig. So okay, but what was your worst job then, if you didn't hate that one?
Well, if you're talking, I still have to talk about mowing now, because my dad, sorry, Dad, but that could be close to a worst, because he was pretty critical, especially in my learning phases. And he was like, "Don't look down at the grass, find a point in the distance and mow to that point." And I was like, what? Because in my mind, I'm like, that would really mess me up. I'm not looking where I'm going.
You're going to swerve around.
My God, he was right though. And I also mowed a lot at the lake. And so if Grandpa was watching you mow at the lake, he'd go nice and slow because that's how he'd show you. You
Okay.
have to go really slow because, again, it's a manual.
Yes. Yeah, there's no propeller
No, but if Grandpa's not watching, you would just be racing up and down that back lawn
to get it done.
to get it done. Yeah, so I think I can just mirror your jobs.
Oh my God. And we did not rehearse this. So, for everybody who listens to us, everyone knows there's zero preparation in this show, with
Yeah.
the exception of maybe a few things, like what did we see in the tile?
Right.
So we watched telemarketing.
Mm-hmm.
Telemarketers.
Telemarketers.
Oh my gosh. And it was on HBO.
Yeah.
All right.
3-episode series.
God. Okay. I'm just going to say I fucking loved that show.
It was good.
It really was. I had low expectations because of the low res, perhaps.
Yep.
But okay. So starting with the tile, we shall follow our process.
Mhm.
What did you see?
Didn't it look like an old throwback 70s graphic or something?
Sure did.
80s. So it was like a graphic
Mm-hmm.
of what I assume is a telemarketer because they have the name in.
They do. It's implicit.
So I figured we'd be watching a show about telemarketing.
And you couldn't be more correct. When I looked at it, I saw a handlebar mustache,
Mm-hmm.
70s throwback. And I honestly thought to myself, all right, let's go.
Yep.
Like I'm ready for whatever this is.
Yeah.
Because I do love a handlebar mustache.
Yeah.
You know that about me, right?
Well, and the 70s throwback.
Yes,
Yeah.
there it is. Okay, so it's all about telemarketers, and it took place over the course of 20 years.
Yeah.
This is throwback footage from the 90s until recent, right?
Correct.
Okay. You keep us honest on what this thing is all about. So tell me your synopsis.
Well, this is Sam Lippman's Stern, I think. Sam is the one that has all of this footage and all of this recording of when he worked as a telemarketer. And so he has a cast of characters he worked with that are a lot of fun. The job, his footage was like, are you serious? This is what you did at your job?
Right.
He has a friend named Patrick J. Pespas. The two of them decide, let's expose this telemarketing because they were calling on behalf of Fraternal Order of Police. So on behalf of what we think as reputable associations. And then it turns out what money goes where.
Oh, so many questions.
So there's so basically they're showing us how they do telemarketing, trying to bust into behind the curtain and maybe not succeeding that well. But they did remind me, I agree with you, like what is this gonna be? But man, they just wanted to do investigative journaling.
They sure did.
Yes.
Honestly,
Tried.
I couldn't help but feel like everybody thinks that they could be good at that because you watch it and it's like, ooh, yeah, I'd ask those questions. But when Patrick J. Pespas, for example, was set up to do some interviews and how somebody would answer and then he just sort of sat there languidly.
Have you ever seen the SNL with Chris Farley?
No.
Please watch it. He interviews like famous people. And this is way back, Chris Farley.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think he had like Paul McCartney or something. He's like, remember that time when you sang? And I mean, it was just so bad. I'm doing this wrong. So look it up. Let's look.
We'll look it up. Well,
yeah.
I mean, it's also reminiscent of like the Zach Galifianakis.
Yes,
where Zach, exactly, where he asks like a completely inappropriate question and holds that gaze.
Yes,
that man can twist you around an axle. Patrick J. Pespas, not so much. Or if he did, it was like it was honest and how he actually felt. So Sam was a high school dropout, right? And he took this job because it was one of very few places who would actually hire him.
Yeah.
And in doing so, he was the young kid, and there were a lot of hardened criminals and people of, further along in age, right? So they were older.
Yep.
And here's this young kid. So he, of modern technology, decides to start capturing the footage. I think it was just to kind of like show what a what a shithole it was
Yeah.
because he put it on YouTube. Like, check this out.
Yeah.
You're never going to believe that we can actually do drugs and the bathroom looks this disgusting.
And it was gross.
Oh my gosh, was it gross?
So they're working for Civic Development Group, CDG.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I was like, how are they making calls when it's so loud in here?
I think that they didn't care.
No,
I don't think anybody cared the integrity of the sound of the call because they were calling on grannies.
Yes.
To steal their money.
Yep. They're racing up and down the halls in chairs.
It did look like fun.
It did. Well, it looked, yeah, it did. Because they didn't ask, do you have a criminal history? They hired anybody.
I think they, in fact, in some cases, just looked the other way. It's not even like they cared.
No. And maybe it was seen as benefit because you know what? You have a criminal history and you're calling on behalf of law enforcement.
Right.
Better just stay in line.
Well, and also I think that somebody mentioned this. I'm going to paraphrase incorrectly, but I think I'm onto something where they said there's no better salesperson than a crackhead.
Yes.
Whereas like,
Say that.
like these people were after what they knew they had to get. Here's what's criminal to me though. Okay. I do believe that we should have jobs and opportunities for people coming out of prison to have a job and try to earn an honest living. Like, right. So,
Yep.
so the fact that this exists is fine. What was a huge miss to me and what felt wrong is that you have all of these people hustling for lots and lots of money over time, and then they don't get a commission. So tell me, what is my motivation to make a bazillion calls in an hour, making $10 an hour when I don't see a cent of it?
Right.
Other than the fact that this job is dangled over their head like a carrot, as if it's the only way for them to make money like that, or a living, I should say. That to me feels criminal.
Well, and that, I mean, yeah, you're taking advantage of people who may feel like, oh, I don't have any other options, so this is it.
And it, not for nothing, they were told you need to make a certain amount of money or you're fired.
Yeah.
Like you've got 3 days to do XYZ or get out.
And I don't think they had good benefits.
I don't think they had shit. I think their benefit was that they could simply be themselves. That they could kind of party on the job and without a whole lot of rules, with the exception of like earn that money.
Yeah, that's it.
Right. And as a person who is in the field of, say sales, these people had their responses and their rebuttals down to a science.
Yeah.
So our cast of characters, I'm sure you have a list. Do you have a list?
I write them as I see them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we had Sabrina running the place.
Yep.
And she remembers many of the cast of characters. And I liked Sabrina a whole lot. She basically was like, you know what your job is. You need to do it. We had Big Ed. Big Ed sounded kind of scary.
Yeah, he did.
And we didn't see much
interview.
No, we didn't see him.
He was just there.
You just saw him like in various settings where his large body would move from one place to another.
Yeah.
That was about it for Big Ed.
Billy was there. He was a former employee.
Yep.
Tom White, he was listed as a former manager.
I also liked the guy, Mr. Wild. Was that his name?
I don't know.
Where he was a career telemarketer. I don't know how people could do this for longer than a couple weeks, or maybe 36 hours like I did.
They did introduce a lot of employees, so it's hard for me to keep them all straight.
And we don't have to. So, our main characters, Sam and Patrick J. Pespas. So they kind of start the episode like, let me introduce you to the world of telemarketing. And it was this debauchery. Then toward the end, it's like, okay, they started to realize we're doing this and we're not exactly sure where all of the money is going.
Yeah.
And Patrick J. Pespas, despite everything, including heavy drug use and heavy, probably life barriers, had a spidey sense, like something's not right. And that's where Sam moved from, let's record for the sake of entertainment on YouTube, to perhaps something a bit more investigatory.
Yeah.
Let's go with it.
Let's investigate.
Yeah, let's investigate.
Yeah.
And then it was like episode 2. And that's where we move into learning more about these various organizations. And Moon, I struggled to keep up with all of these organizations because they changed all the time.
Have you ever
We were not real.
Have you ever gotten a phone call on behalf of?
Sure have.
Same.
Sure
It
have.
was a while ago. I don't get a lot of them because your phone now says maybe spam or whatever. But I remember getting one from a fire department. And I don't think it was our city's fire department. I think it was like on behalf of, let's say, St. Paul Fire Department.
Right.
And it started off kind. And then when they realized, like, I'm actually not giving money, I couldn't actually remember. Is it a person or was it a robot? Is how I felt near the end because I'm like, are you seriously still like asking for money and being an asshole? Like,
right.
Yeah.
Under what circumstances will you bully me into giving you $25?
But I do recall, like, after watching this, I'm like, oh, I have had an interaction like that on the phone.
100%.
Yeah.
What's interesting? So, everybody knows Jeff used to be a cop, right? He made a donation like probably about a year ago to some police thing, like unknowingly.
Yeah.
And then my number was somehow connected, and I got a call from a sheriff, something or other. And this guy, like you said, started out very nice. And then toward the end, I was like, he's like, can I count you in? And he did have that authoritative voice. So they talked about how they need to speak with authority and sound like they're from the police. And
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. This guy did that. And then I was like, we actually just donated somewhere else. And he's like, well, can't you give to da 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 da? And he became rude.
Yeah.
Like, and then finally I was like, look, I'm sorry. The answer is no. Click. And that ended there. So, I mean, it's not exactly a cool story, Marnie, but.
No, but it is. And that's how these guys operate. And also, I noticed that when they call these little old ladies, the ladies would like to just talk. I know. So what's wrong with you today, Gladys? I mean, it was like,
yes, that was heartbreaking.
But then these guys would be like having a conversation, showing interest in what is wrong with your hip, talking about that. And then before you know it, yes, you do have her $25, her $35, her $95.
Yes.
And then that's just, didn't they even say this one guy called the same guy near daily and bled him of like
$1,000 in a year, and the guy was dying.
And then he died.
So there was one dude, and I know that I'm going to jump around. Tom, he was like a former, I think he murdered someone.
Okay. So,
and he was the person in the bedroom. And he was running these things. And Tom was the one who would get like violent toward the end of the call if they wouldn't give him what he wanted.
He was so mean. He was classified as my worst favorite. Oh, my least favorite character.
Okay. You did not like Tom.
I did not like Tom.
I think I would agree with you.
And what's his deal with always holding his hand out? Does this change things?
I don't know. Maybe it sounds like we could test it here.
Yeah.
Do I sound more official?
Totally.
Yeah, he did. He covered his mouth, and then he would talk about like, I hope your house catches on fire, or like, rot in hell, or I'm going to come kill you. And I don't know if that person had hung up by that point and it was just for show. I actually say these things.
I think they probably hung up by that point because he was the top caller. He was the guy.
You're right.
Yeah.
I mean, but Patrick J. Pespas had his own.
You talk about least favorite character, and then most favorite character is
Patrick J. Pespas.
Yeah, and I know we're going a little bit out of order, but
we are.
Man, this guy did have it.
I loved him.
Yeah.
I loved him. So I watched this show with Jeff, Bree, and Ben, and we all, every single one of us was obsessed with Patrick J. Pespas. But Jeff, I think, wants to write a love letter. He actually, when we were done with watching Telemarketers, he opined his love for Patrick J. Pespas and actually said that he wants to spend the day with him and would be happy to spend time. So I'm going to find out a way.
At first, they present the first episode as if Patrick J. Pespas was. because they didn't interview or show him current.
Oh,
And I was like, oh man, what happens?
what
They didn't.
happened?
No, and then I thought, did like the Fraternal Order of the Police get to him? Or like
Right.
did something bad happen?
Yes. Well, they kind of, a couple of things. They led you to believe, or at least the documentary did a good job of suggesting that Patrick J. Pespas may or may not be alive.
Yeah.
Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, they also had this slightly ominous feeling for the Fraternal Order of Police and any number of the organizations involved. Now, that, of course, could have been kind of embellished for our entertainment.
Right.
But there were a few times where clearly the use of force or intimidation was at a factor. And that was another Jeff triggering behavior where he's like, I'm so irritated that, and I'm not going to body shame. Okay. And I'm going on a tangent here, but there was one of the cops who was a sergeant, and he was also a leader of one of these fake Ponzi-like organizations.
Oh, yeah.
I forget his name. It doesn't really matter
No.
because, Jeff didn't like him, but he was the leader, and then they tried to track him down. And I guess this guy used intimidation
Yeah.
to try to bully people into continuing the behavior or leaving him alone. And also, so Jeff body shamed him kind of and was like, that guy shouldn't even be a cop. He's too fat. Like, there's no way that guy would be able to protect the public. Like, he wouldn't be able to move fast enough. So there was this element of superiority of some of these people involved in the FOP who it's like, you can't even run.
Right. There was also like, here's your sticker, display it proudly. And did that have a feeling of like,
oh, I would have
shakedown for a little bit of money? Like,
yes.
And then you're kind of protected. Maybe you don't get pulled over while you're speeding. Maybe your store is protected more. Maybe, like,
similar to the thin blue line. Now that it actually does go to the police, and we've probably displayed those. But I would have totally thought that with this sticker, I'm one of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would absolutely. And you saw some of these these businesses who put them in their storefront, and multiple, which showed that they had been scammed over and over and over.
Well, doesn't it remind you of like a mob boss or like, hey, you want my protection? Here's the cost.
Well, back to our knowledge of a mob.
Yeah. Which is extensive.
Right. Extensive. And also apparently now applies to the police, the order of police.
Yeah.
Quote unquote. And so Jeff did say, like, the Fraternal Order of Police is a thing, and it does exist, and they do throw galas and charities, and they do raise money. And it's interesting because he did participate in that, but never once when he was a cop did we ever get any of these calls. It was only after he left that we received them.
And it's not the Fraternal Order of the Police.
No, it's whatever weirdo thing
it's the what's the skeezies and the pashy. I mean, like,
yes,
it is not, it's the Keezers and the Pashes.
So the two dudes who actually set up CG,
the brothers,
yes,
CGD, and they, I think, are the ones. They're the villains here.
Yes,
because they are calling on behalf of these Fraternal Order of the Police, fire departments, cancer charities, all the things, getting people's money, and they only give the Fraternal Order of the Police a small piece of the pie.
But yet it was a big amount. It was $350,000. So think about it. Think of the, Fergus Falls Police.
Yeah.
And they were given $350,000. Let us use your name and we'll give you $350,000.
But
that was the draw.
Yeah. But then these brothers, though, made way more than that.
Absolutely. It was a total scam.
Yep.
But to the unsuspecting, police who probably struggled to raise $50,000.
And then it was off their plate too.
Yes. Yep. It was,
Like, oh yeah, I'll delegate this. They're a fundraising organization. They'll fundraise on behalf of us. So it's not, I'm not saying, you know, I just think regular police officers and
oh,
the electorate
unsuspecting.
have no idea
They
this is
have no
happening.
idea. They're not a part of this. There's probably a 1% who are hip to the game,
Yeah.
hip to the scam. So
But they got paid off, I thought.
they sure did. Well, they
Because
got to have be a part of this.
the blurred out guy
Mhm.
made it sound like you give them 20,000, 50,000.
Yeah.
They'll go with it.
Yeah.
Not your Jeff.
No.
I could tell right away.
So which part? Which part like gave it away? So CDG was called out, I believe, by the FTC. They were busted and essentially like, you're a scam. I don't think justice was served because while they paid some fines, they never actually served time or had to atone for their sins.
No.
It was basically like, pay this money back and stop your nonsense. So supposedly they did, but then the business model was out. So while CDG was no longer, all kinds of other scammers
Yeah.
took this model and went rampant with name any sort of organization that struggles to fundraise. They then became victims of all kinds of these little things.
Well, I think that one of the brothers, like Brian Keys or whatever their
let's call him Keezy, sleazy
Keezy,
yeah,
wasn't allowed to do this anymore. But then I think the other brother just picked it up because I recall one of the guys saying CDG closed down without like really any warning. And a few weeks later, he got a call and now he's invited to work at NPI.
Yeah.
Or whatever that was. So it was one of those things. It's like, okay, same story, different building.
Yep.
A lot of the same employees. Like it was like, hey, call your buds. We can do this more.
Well, and they still needed criminals and criminals needed a job. So it was this symbiotic relationship in a sense. However, here's what's interesting is once CDG was busted, there was I believe FBI or someone in a regulatory position, Patrick J. Pespas or Sam performed an interview or had an interview with this guy. And he essentially said, regulating these institutions is like regulating Somali pirates.
Yes.
Which I thought was such a brilliant way to summarize what this industry is like. It is uncontrollable. It is untethered. Once you slap one down, one pops up elsewhere. In fact, the real true investigative reporter, I'm going to forget her name, but she became involved and she basically said it's like whack-a-mole. Once you bust one, another pops up and off you go. So she joined the troop. What was her name?
I can't remember either. I'll find it in my notes.
Okay.
It's coming.
She became involved and she started to support
Sarah.
Sarah started to support Patrick J. Pespas and Sam and essentially said, yeah, I've done all of the reporting here.
And she was pumped for the footage.
Oh, she sure was. Because Patrick J. Pespas was willing to, quote, go undercover.
Yep.
And he, even though he had been out of the biz, took a job and then they recorded it in the basement of some place where there was hanging dry cleaning or people's laundries in the background. Did you see that?
I love that they hired a film crew off of Craigslist. Did this feel a little bit like what we're doing?
Absolutely. That's I think why I liked it.
Podcast, no clue. Let's go. And that's how they reminded me of, hey, should we do a documentary? Let's do it.
Well, they made it to HBO. So they're
you're
saying there's a chance.
Oh,
like we can do this thing. So Patrick J. Pespas goes silent for a while. Sam said he went off to LA and he and I quote did some foot stuff.
Yes.
So Sam was trying to get his film. He did weddings, did proposals, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, and some foot stuff is what he said.
Yeah.
And then he got a call from Patrick J. Pespas saying, hey man, I'm back. And so he said, all right, let's pick this back up. Patrick J. Pespas agrees to go undercover and get a job. And this is where they start to uncover the underbelly of this industry, i.e., what Patrick J. Pespas was told to do,
Yep.
how he was told to do it and behave, and then the people they targeted and the organizations they had and what he could and could not say.
Yep.
And I mean, there was the damning evidence. The problem is that even though they got Sarah involved, it's like you couldn't, all of these people were like slippery eels. You
Yeah.
couldn't nail them down for anything.
No. And it's like the callers were just the callers.
Yep.
Well, until they were robocallers. And then didn't they use other people's voices and names?
Yes, that's where Mr. Smith came in. So
Yeah.
he was one of the original CDG employees. They tracked him down years later, and he's like, yeah, I'm apparently still a telemarketer, but it's not actually me.
Joe
It's
Mako
just my,
too. Same
yes,
thing.
it's
Yes.
just my voice.
Yeah.
So now we're getting to your point about your experience. You don't know if that's an actual human.
No, and it after a while it did remind me of like, oh, this isn't a person.
Right?
This is a robot.
So I have a little bit of a tangent.
Yeah, do it.
I have a friend named David Boyle, and David loves to engage with the texts that he gets that are obviously robo texts or some sad person enslaved in the Philippines, which is sad and of course incomprehensible, but he'll text right back with those people. And he goes back and forth, and then he'll send me screenshots of his text messages. And I'm petrified when I get those things. I'm like, stop, delete, send to spam. But he loves it. So if you think about it, like maybe the next time we get one of these calls, we should just fight back.
We should say, I've seen the movie.
I know who you are.
Yeah. Tell me the percent that goes to the whatever you're calling on behalf.
Yes. Are you actually a police officer?
Is Brian Skeezy Crazy your ultimate boss?
Yes. Who do you answer to? I really want to find the fat bastard that Jeff was so mad about. Larry worked at Life Alert. Larry is who I'm thinking of. So when CDG shut down, Larry, I think people took jobs at Life Alert, which seems like a noble cause.
Yeah.
Life Alert, it's transferable skills.
Yeah.
Man, okay. So we get the guys back in the seat. They try to uncover this thing, but Moon, I mean, I think we can kind of cut to the chase. They really didn't get to the bottom of it.
They didn't. We know that there's something fishy, obviously, here.
Right.
I think Sarah explained, like, IUPA, one of their charities, the telemarketers made $7.4 million. 17,000 of that went to groups that IUPA supported, and 15,000 went to individuals, like out of 7.4 million. And that just tells us what we need to know about these calls.
Totally.
And where our money goes. And like, was there a person who created a website about charities? Like, I guess my biggest takeaway would be like,
Blumenthal.
Yes, research that. Oh yeah, he was a senator. Richard Blumenthal.
He was the senator, and then there was Reverend James Tranquil.
That's who I'm thinking of. I think he created a website that actually rates the charities.
Yes.
So when you're thinking of giving to a charity, like by all means, we should be supporting law enforcement, firefighters, cancer charities.
All of the things.
But like don't support a political action committee.
No.
A PAC, because that's what they're calling, and they don't have to disclose anything.
They don't have to do shit.
So I bet you 1 penny of your $100 goes to the political candidate or whatever you think you're supporting. It's bonkers.
It kind of boggles the mind, because I think back in the day when our parents, before the internet was the way to conduct business and get things done, like think of our parents. They probably took calls, gave money, sent it in, and there was above board behavior. Now there's like this skeezy, sleazy industry where, to your point, 1 penny of your $100 goes there. So now I think the only way to do it is to actually go to the institution's website and find where their fundraising exists and donate that way versus getting these weirdo calls. But you and I are not the problem, are the victims here typically.
Right.
It's our parents, it's our grandparents, it's people who are vulnerable and are not aware and who clearly haven't seen telemarketers.
Yeah. Watch it. It's pretty good.
Right? Okay, so I also want to bring up that there were levels to this thing regarding the cops. Number
Yeah.
one, there was the upset over fat cops.
Oh,
That we
okay.
shouldn't have cops who are out of shape and unable to do their job.
Okay.
Number two, there was the abuse of power, like the inappropriate use of their ability to be police officers and their management of the law, and that really set a certain someone off. And then there was the FOP, which was just simply a cover. So like there was a lot there.
Yeah.
As it relates to the police officers. Then you had the regulating bodies, Blumenthal, who said, "Get with my staff," but then he didn't really do much, if we're honest.
I think that it should be no surprise to anybody. I think our government is terribly slow.
Yeah.
And really doesn't I mean this should be simple. This should be, in my mind, like just regulate what you can say.
Right.
Regulate where your money goes, how much of it must go to a charity. These seem like simple things that you're unable to get past.
Well, and I'm sure that if it was easy, we could do it. But I think that sometimes criminals are smarter than our systems because our systems get in the way. Therefore, they're able to sneak in between all kinds of.
Yeah, but at least set the rules.
Right.
I mean, let them break them, go ahead, but set the damn rules of this much of your 90% of your fundraising goes to your charity.
Totally. Yep. Couldn't agree more. And please don't hire people like Tom. Okay, so
not Tom.
So who did you love?
Patrick J. Pespas.
Okay, we share that. Yeah. And by the way, everyone in the peanut gallery loved Patrick J. Pespas.
Yeah.
Bree, Ben, Jeff. There's
something about him.
I absolutely adored that man. And you hated
our killer.
Yeah.
Tom.
Yeah. Cover Tom. I hated Tom too, but I hate the inability to regulate this industry. And I think what I hated the most is that there's this I don't even want to say incompetence because I think that that's unfair. I think that there's just sneaky, sleazy people who are willing to do this to rob people of their hard-earned savings, and people probably are, you just think of the 80-year-old lady with her hip.
Yes.
I hate those people who are willing to expose them and take advantage of them. I hate that.
And I'll say charitynavigator.org.
There it is. Okay. All right. We're gonna check that out. Anything you'd put on a t-shirt or a bumper sticker or a card, Moon?
Well, if this job still exists and you're wanting to hire,
okay,
you could say, get a little buzzed, make some crazy phone calls. That was in there.
That was good. Okay. I got a couple.
Okay.
Ready for it?
Yep.
So Sabrina was one of my favorites, and she started this thing out with lick the crack too, not just the booty hole.
I knew that was going to be on your.
Yep. So like, I think that could be a Valentine's Day card, like an instruction to someone, right?
Yep.
So there's that. And then the one that got the laughs going, it's so hard. And it could have been the fact that it was Thanksgiving and everybody was partying a little bit. So we're all a little riled up. But there was a point where Patrick J. Pespas' neighbor was talking about what a great guy Patrick J. Pespas is. And she said, if you can get a woman out of a wheelchair, you're a good motherfucker. So that was another one where I
get well soon.
Yeah. I love that. And then of course there's some foot stuff.
Yes.
I mean, just hard stop. That's the card. Like let them guess.
Yep.
But anything else you'd say about telemarketers?
No, it was entertaining. Slightly unfulfilling that
no justice was served.
But a good time was had.
It sure was. And these guys made it to HBO. So like Sam Lipstern, Patrick J. Pespas.
You give us hope.
Bravo. Yes, you do give us hope. So I guess that's the gist of telemarketers.
That's the gist of it.
All right. See you later, Moon.
Bye.
Bye. Well, there you have it. You may have picked up on a fact or two.
Or just convinced yourself you did.
Either way, that's the Gist Project. Never educational, but always entertaining.